Donald Trump just launched an illegal and offensive war against a country that didn't attack us, Iran. He had the nerve to say, immediately after launching an illegal and offensive war against a country that didn't attack us, he had the nerve to say, now is the time for peace. That's like walking into a bar, knocking somebody out and breaking their jaw, and then when they get up and square up to fight you, you say, hey man, I just want peace, bro. Now's the time for peace. Well, if you wanted peace, maybe you shouldn't have broke that fucking person's jaw. This is mental, what we're witnessing here. So, don't say you weren't warned. I warned you about this in advance. There was detailed reporting that came out, like, for example, from Sy Hersh. Sy Hersh said the decision was already made, not only to attack the Iranian sites, but he says also to do regime change in Iran. Now, understand something. All the talk about Iranian's nuclear program, it's all bullshit. It's all a smokescreen. It's the cover story that they're using to go after the Iranian regime and try to get rid of it because it threatens Israeli hegemony in the region. Because, stop and think about it, who pulled out of the 2018 nuclear agreement that Iran was abiding by completely? Donald Trump did.
We just bombed Iran.
Oh, no, I'm scared.
Oh, that just gave me the chills.
I'm scared.
All right, let me conclude.
Oh dear God. Oh dear God.
Oh, dear God.
Oh dear God.
This is a statement from Donald Trump. Quote,
Oh dear God.
we have completed our very successful attack on the 3 nuclear sites in Iran, etc.
If Russia, China, and Iran finally decide to team up and attack the United States, they're going to take one thing from us. Knowing our defense systems are super advanced, they're probably going to go with our power grid. It's going to make us deaf, dumb, and blind. We're going to get hit by EMPs that are going to take our Wi-Fi, our electricity for months. So that means you won't be able to use your phone because eventually it'll just die out. That's why this is a must-have. This is the strongest solar power bank in the market. As long as the sun is out, you'll always have power with this. You can charge your cell phones, your tablets, your laptops with this. It even has wireless charging as well. You have the 2 huge LED lights. It's waterproof, shockproof, and dustproof. You can charge 7 devices at once with this. And if worse comes to worse, the sun isn't out, it does have a hand crank where you can power this whole device with. Don't be the person that saw this video and didn't think they needed it, and then desperately wish you had this when we end up in crisis.
Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Well, I'm hoping that you're doing super great from wherever you're watching me from. As you know, I'm your host and presenter of GTech Stories. Well, these are a couple of days that white Americans have never felt like a fool, like they were being played. And you know what? We might think that this is something that we ever talked about. And all this culminates down to how racism is expensive. I know black people have been saying this for the longest time, that racism is expensive. Look at how your racism is making you cause a problem to people because you decided to choose a person that doesn't know nothing about humanity, a person that can't comprehend really what it's meant to be peace, hypocrisy, right? And all this culminates down to what is called historical ignorance. People know who is Mr. Donald Trump very well, but they still went ahead, voted for him. And all we are seeing today is as a result of the historical ignorance, because this is not happening for the first time. There were signs that the person who is running the United States is not the person that is serving the citizens. People are being blinded by racism. And since they have this zest, love for hate, they love hate so much black people and other marginalized groups, who had already told them that this is not just bringing the problem to the United States, it's also bringing a problem to people outside the United States, right? And so what happened 2 days ago is something which is not to be celebrated. It's something which is so sad. And like, we're still in the middle of this conversation. Like, we are looking, where did the problem come from? And white people, especially conservative Americans in the rural places, they know them well because they're the ones who endorsed this ban. Now, many white Americans, particularly in rural and conservative backgrounds, were drawn to Trump's image of a strong man, leader, who promised to restore American greatness. They believed his aggressive rhetoric meant strength, discipline, and national pride. But now, as his foreign policy decisions like escalating tensions with Iran risk global instability and draw the US closer to war, the illusion is shattering. People are beginning to understand that strength without strategy or morality leads to chaos, not leadership. And that's what white America decided to choose. There's a slap on their face. They're regretting, like, damn, who is Mr. Donald Trump? This is not the person that we voted during the ballot box. This is a different person. You know what? I don't want to say much. I just want you to watch this video. I'll be back. And then we'll have a great discussion, because people, especially white people, are letting us know really that they made a mistake. And this is how you pay for racism. This disease is spreading to innocent people because of your greed, because you decided to choose racism. And this is what you get. So let's watch the video. I'll be back. I don't want to say much.
My fellow Americans, I think it's time for us to have like a team meeting, because who the hell asked him to go over there and bomb Iran? Like, I'm just going to run a poll. If you or a loved one who happen to be American have a personal problem for whatever reason with Iran, please select one of these here buttons, because why? I ain't never done nothing to Iran. Iran ain't never done nothing to me. You know how many of Americans, how many of us die in war? Like, I don't think... What in the hell is going on right now? None of us asked him to do this. We have so many other problems. Do you know how expensive war is? Like, do you know how much gas is going to go up? Do you know? Like, I'm so mad right now. If you voted for this, you're a dork. Like, there are no other ways around it at this point.
People are asking me about this bombing of Iran. I'm not happy. I was hoping that Trump would go taco, and he didn't. And now we have to face the consequences. And, you know, Trump is a broken clock. Broken clocks are right twice a day. And you just got to hope, you got to pray that he's right about this. That's all we can do. I understand Iran is a threat. I understand why Israel attacked Iran. I just don't think the U.S. should have gotten involved in this. And now we got to depend on these three people for the health of the world. 1, Marco, a professional coward. 2, Hegseth, a rookie and impulsive drunk who never does his homework. And 3, Trump, the big guy, right? Demented 79-year-old who knows next to nothing and covers his face in orange goo daily. People voted for him. People told me, I voted for him because he won't get us into a war. Yeah, well, that's not true, is it? To me, things look horrible about this, but you gotta hope that fortune smiles upon us in some way, that despite the incompetence of these people, it all somehow works out with minimal damage. My father was in the Polish army under Stalin in World War II. He was a translator to Russian officers, and he went through hell. And he used to say to me, you know, I saw those officers who said they were communists, said they were atheists, pray all the time. Yeah, there are no atheists in foxholes, and there are fewer atheists right now because of what Donald Trump just did in Iran. And, you know, prayer, whether it works or not, would be a good thing right now.
The president has announced through Truth Social, of all fucking places, that the United States has bombed Iran. Make no mistake about this. We just launched ourselves into this war. We just joined the Israel-Iran war. Israel drug us into this war. So everybody who said you're voting for this guy because he brought us no new wars, everybody who said you're voting for this guy because he's the president of peace, everybody who is as tired of fucking war as I am, I'm an Iraq and Afghanistan veteran, we just got out of 20 years of war in the Middle East, and this fucking guy has the nerve to fucking say now's the time for peace. Peace would have been not fucking bombing Iran. Let me be abundantly clear for anybody who doesn't understand. Iran's not going to let us just get away with bombing them. We have completed our very successful attack on 3 nuclear sites in Iran, including Fordow, Natanz, Esfahan. All planes are now outside of Iran airspace. A full payload of bombs was dropped on the primary site, Fordow. All planes are safely on their way home. Congratulations to our great American warriors. There is not another military in the world that could have done this. Now's the time for peace. So clearly this motherfucker is ill-equipped to keep us out of war, dumb enough to let Israel drag us into their bullshit, and delusional enough to think that this is what peace looks like. May God help us all at this fucking
war because of a piece of legislation from 1960. This is the order at which people are going to get called up if something was to happen quite soon. First up, all biological males aged between 18 and 26. Doesn't matter who you are, what you've got planned, you will need to report for conscription. Second one is people with useful skills, and again, in law, it's just the men. This includes things like engineers, drivers, logisticians, cybersecurity is a new one, and all of these key skills, even that BTEC in IT from school, is going to count towards a national asset. You are next on the call-up list. Third level is where women enter the chat, and that is reservists and veterans. So if you've left the military in the last 18 years, you could be getting called up to be part of the strategic reserve and get called up to go to war. In the Navy, it's 6 years instead of 18. Conscription in the UK ended in the 1960s, but they could switch this legislation on at any time. It's also worth noting that in the Scandinavian countries, women are included in conscription. So let me know, would you go to war, and what would your get-out excuse be?
Marjorie Taylor Greene is the first Republican member of Congress to come out against Donald Trump for attacking Iran. Now, if you somehow missed it, yes, Donald Trump has dragged the United States into war with Iran. And Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's been very critical of Donald Trump lately, was the first one to come out, and she posted this. Every time America is on the verge of greatness, we get involved in another foreign war. There would not be bombs falling on the people of Israel if Netanyahu had not dropped bombs on the people of Israel first. Israel is a nuclear-armed nation. This is not our fight. Peace is the answer. That was immediately after Donald Trump had announced that we struck Iran. Now, she doesn't call out Donald Trump specifically by name, but she is definitely calling out the actions tonight. And she has been tested. Her loyalty to Donald Trump has been put to the test almost nightly. And now for her, this is the last straw. Donald Trump is talking like this is over, mission accomplished. But if Iran retaliates, he could be losing a lot of support.
I really wish I could give you guys a good take on this breaking news that Trump just attacked Iran. That's what I try to do. But all I see is just like I saw with immigrants, with protesters, with California, with his birthday parade taunts. I see a weak man looking for a fight, so he throws the first punch. Because he just attacked a nation with a $500 billion GDP. Iran has 90 million people, with 10 million living in Tehran alone. I'm sure he was pitched this because this is always how they do it, that you can just get in and out. But one way or another, Iran is going to retaliate. Just look at the Strait of Hormuz. It's controlled by the United Arab Emirates and Iran. 20 million barrels of oil pass through that strait every single day. That is 20% of global daily consumption. Does he think Iran is just going to sit by and let this go? On top of that, we have 40 to 50,000 American troops that we know of stationed throughout the Middle East. I hate to frame it this way, but the best case scenario is Trump is so stupid he thought he could get in and out without retaliation. Worst case scenario, of course, is that he threw the first punch because he knew they would retaliate, which would then put him in a position to go to Congress Congress and demand a declaration of war so that we could defend ourselves, even though it was him who threw the first punch. The most infuriating thing is that Trump is only doing this because he's failed on every other front. 75 million Americans voted for a guy who was so weak and so insecure that he would stop at nothing in fulfilling his need to look powerful. If you're one of those people, you voted for a peacetime president, you voted for lower gas prices, you voted for an American first isolationist policy, congratulations, because you failed across the board.
We have some breaking news. AOC is calling for Trump's impeachment after his strikes on Iran. President Trump just ordered U.S. forces to bomb 3 Iranian nuclear sites without a vote from Congress. And tonight, Democrats are warning that he may have broken the law. Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, AOC, says the strike is a grave violation of the Constitution and congressional war powers. She wrote, and I quote, "He has impulsively risked launching a war that may ensnare the U.S. for generations. This is clearly grounds for impeachment." AOC isn't alone. Representative Sean Casten said Trump's strikes violates the War Powers Act, which requires presidents to get approval from Congress before engaging in military actions, unless there is an imminent threat. No such threat has been proven. Trump has claimed the strike was necessary to protect Israel and stop Iran's nuclear program, but he hasn't shown the public any evidence. Under the Constitution, only Congress can declare war. Past presidents, even in crisis, held votes before launching military attacks. Now he is being called a constitutional threat by members of his own government. And for AOC, this moment is about accountability. Not just for what happened in Iran, but whether the rules of democracy still apply. She says if Trump can launch a war without a vote, he shouldn't be president at all. Follow me on Instagram, TikTok, and Substack for all breaking news and to follow this story as it continues all night.
Gone 2:30 in the morning. World War III is breaking out because Trump has decided that he would rather back a settler colonial genocidal state than do the right thing. And he has just now dropped 3 bombs on Iran. But where am I? Am I at home looking at the breaking news stories, offering you the up-to-date news? No, let me show you where I am. Let me show you. Exactly, the old Bill station. Yes, my brother. See, even my brother over there knows, right? Look where we are at 2:30 in the morning, waiting for our comrade to be released. So instead of arresting war criminals, they're arresting peaceful activists that stand against a genocide, keeping them in until the early hours of the morning. Seriously, this is what we're paying our taxes for us to be arrested for speaking out against a genocide while war criminals roam free, while crazy loons like Trump are dropping bombs on other countries while they're starting World War III. What is the point? What is the point of all this nonsense if the whole world is just going to explode because of stupid, egotistical, genocidal world leaders? That's why. We the people have had enough. No, rise up, my people, rise up.
President Trump has claimed a
spectacular military success.
We'll see. What is clear is that he has pushed the United States into a new war in the Middle East without any obvious legal basis, and that he has himself acknowledged the risk of escalation. As somebody who has covered Iran, here are a few things that I worry about. How Iran is going to respond. Iran's supreme leader, he had warned that if the U.S. did join the war, that Iran would retaliate against U.S. interests decisively. In 2020, when the United States assassinated a top Iranian general, Qasem Soleimani, Iran responded by firing a barrage of missiles at U.S. bases in Iraq. We may well see that again. Maybe most alarmingly for the world economy, it could seek to mine or close down in other ways the Strait of Hormuz, through which 1/4 of world oil passes. Back in 1988, when Iran mined the Strait of Hormuz, a U.S. frigate was badly damaged by a mine. I think another fundamental uncertainty is whether the United States really has put the Iranian nuclear program out of commission. There's some risk that Iran will make a rush to a weapon if indeed it still has the highly enriched uranium for about 10 bombs that it previously had, and if it has some centrifuges somewhere that it can spin. But fundamentally, I think one of the things we've seen in wars is that the enemy gets a say. They get to say about how to escalate. They get a say in how they're going to respond. And so I worry that a president who repeatedly expressed his determination to bring America out of wars may have sucked the United States into a war in the Middle East that we won't have a clear idea of how to end. And for those who glibly talk about how this will bring about the end of the Iranian regime, I just note that in my travels I've seen how at the popular level, Iran may be the most pro-American government in the Middle East. Ordinary people always come up to you when they find out you're an American. They're so welcoming because they strongly dislike the regime. They see it as hypocritical, as corrupt, as economically incompetent. And partly for that reason, they love Americans. I think it'll be a lot harder to sustain that pro-American attitude when we're bombing Iranians. So, has this been a spectacular military success? We'll see. Is it the end of the Iranian nuclear program? Again, we'll have to wait and find out. Is this going to lead to a new Iranian regime? I'm a little more skeptical, and I would note that a new regime might be a hardline military regime rather than a popular democratic uprising. What we do know is that we're in new territory, and it may well be dangerous new territory.
Trump just posted that we're at war on social media. And what pisses me off the most is there's so many people like, oh, he shouldn't be able to do this. It's like the checks and balances are not checking or balancing. Like, when will people understand there is no check, there is no balance, there is just unilateral power that he was given because he owns the Supreme Court, and they set a fucking president that he can do whatever the fuck he wants, and people will do it because they believe they believe what he believes. He has put people in power that support him in this, that want this. And his brain is so fucking rotted that when he is thinking, it's his lizard brain instinct of like, I want to destroy and take everything. And when he's fucking out of it, they can just puppet his ass because he's rotting on the inside from Diet Coke. His colon is fucking festering from the grease of a fucking McDouble. And Iran will retaliate because they have to retaliate. Like, I was just literally minding my business today. I was so excited. I was going to go to a gay warehouse party downtown. And now my IBS is flaring up because the United States is bombing innocent people in fucking Iran. And like, if you don't know anything about the fucking military, when you get poor people at 18 years old going into the military, you are able to mold their minds and make them believe whatever you are telling them. So when you're like, oh, these soldiers should just lay down their arms. Why? Because they're not fucking educated enough. They've been fucking brainwashed. They have nothing else. So many of them come from families that can't afford anything. And like, what is Congress going to do besides fucking boohoo about this shit? Like, it's so crazy to me. It's so crazy to me. But if you're feeling this way, like, I fucking feel exactly the same way.
Who is running this country right now? Is it Israel? Is it Netanyahu? Or is it Donald J. Trump? Because it doesn't seem like the president of the United States is running the United States of America. He is taking his cues from another world leader, and this does not benefit us in any way, shape, or motherfucking form. Americans are now absolutely in danger in that region. Like, what the fuck? I'm afraid for our Muslim Americans because they are 100% coming after you next. And I'm fucking pissed off at you motherfuckers too, because you're the ones that helped him get into office. And you're gonna be like, no, we didn't. No, we didn't. Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Well, I'm hoping that you're doing great from wherever you're watching us from. As you know, again, this is something that I really want to emphasize. This is something that I really want to say, because I really find it problematic, because you people decided to put your greed in front of humanity. This is what you get. And you see how this virus is spreading even to people who are innocent. And if you want to know that this is a sign that is happening to people in the United States, look at the living standards of people. You might think just that bombing Iran or is expressing how strong the United States is or how strong the American is. But look at the broader lens of this, how it has destroyed the lives of people. Look at those kids who are crying. I mean, the devastation, the trauma that these people are living with because you decided to vote for this grade. This is the person that you decided to put in power. The world is asking question. What did white America do? That's the question that the world is asking today. What did they do? Because this is something which is affecting a lot of people. Big time. People are not happy about this. But again, this is something which is happening. Now, I had a presentation and I want to talk about this because it's really important for us to have this discussion. While you might think this is something to celebrate because the strong man is now, expressing how muscular he is when it comes to militarism. The American culture with military overreach. And that's a perfect example of how they do these things. That's a perfect example of how they perform, right? America is about performative. Now that's selling this illusion of, we are strong. They're selling it to Russia. They're selling it to China. But again, we really know that this is not the truth. Now, let me talk about war fatigue and history memory. The American public, especially white working class communities who often supply the bulk of the U.S. military, enlisted soldiers are tired of endless wars. Many of them supported Trump because he promised to stop stupid wars and bring troops home. Yet his recent military aggression towards Iran betrays that promise. Now, white Americans are realizing he is not different from past presidents who used foreign conflict as a distraction from domestic failure. Yes, America had already fallen within, and this is the cost of racism. This is how the Americans, white America themselves, are paying for racism. This is how they pay for it because it already fell within. But right now, the problem is this virus is being spread even to other countries, even to other nations that are innocent. Take a look at Iran. These are a group of people that are innocent, but this problem is being spread to them. Why? Because when a person falls, they want to fall with other people that threatens them. They don't want to fall alone. And they know very well that it had already fallen. All this that is happening. Let's talk about economic anxiety misplaced. Trump tapped into the legitimate economic anxieties of white Americans who had been hurt by globalization, automation, and corporate greed. He promised jobs, manufacturing revival, and better healthcare, but many are waking up to the fact that none of these promises materialized meaningfully. Instead, he gave massive tax cuts to billionaires, and now he risks global war, which historically drains national resource and benefits only military industrial elite, not the struggling middle class. Because of greed, you all decided to go and vote, and that's how it tapped into you, white Americans. That's how it tapped into your weakness. And you noticed that, we are having automations. We are having all these artificial intelligence. People are using these, the corporates, the elites, they are using these in their corporations, making you don't have anything of yourself. And as a result, what does that mean? That means that he banged on your emotions and they dipped you economically. And now farmers, truck drivers, who all did all these things, look where they are. Because it tapped into the emotions. It tapped into your economic greed. And that's how you won you. I'm also going to be talking about the Iran dilemma as a tipping point. The attack on Iran, or what we call the provocative military posturing, is seen by many as reckless and unnecessary. Iran, already suffering under brutal sanctions, has not paused a direct attack on the US homeland. White Americans are beginning to question why provoke another sovereign nation. The move appears more likely a political stunt to stir a nationalist support rather than a justified action. Right? This has triggered what is called disillusionment in those who once saw Trump as a protector, not a warmonger. All these are coming back to the betrayal, people being betrayed, and that's how it happens. Let me talk about the media echo chamber cracking. Trump's base was once insulated by a tight echo chamber of conservative media. Let's talk about Fox News, talk radio, so also social media influencers. But the cracks are showing. Even some conservative outlets and commentators are beginning to question his judgment, especially when it comes to potentially dragging America into another war. As these cracks widen, more white Americans are being exposed to broader critiques of Trump leadership. That's how it happens. So when we try to question these things, these are the things that are happening, right? Let's talk about the betrayal of white identity politics. Trump's politics have always been racialized. And it's true, you'll agree with me. It gave many white Americans the false sense that they were reclaiming cultural dominance, that it was their voice in diversifying America. But now, some are seeing that they were used, manipulated by racial fear, while the economic and moral well-being is deteriorated. The war drums against Iran reveals a broader imperial agenda that does not benefit the poor or working class whites any more than it benefits black or brown Americans. Right? Talk about veterans and military families who are coming now to speak out about these things. Look, as tensions in Iran escalate, many veterans, especially white veterans, are publicly voicing their concerns. Having experienced the trauma of Iraq and Afghanistan, they know the cost of unnecessary conflict. Their voices are influencing wider opinion among white Americans, especially in communities where military service is a family tradition. They are saying, we were lied to before, don't let it happen again. We were lied to before, don't let it happen again. Yeah, you heard me. Let's talk about Trump's eroding moral credibility. Trump's personal behavior, his lies, corruption, cruelty, and disregard for human life has always been visible. But some white Americans ignore it, hoping it still deliver results. Now, with potential war on the horizon and domestic issues like inflation and healthcare still are unresolved, the moral cost of supporting Trump is becoming too high. People are realizing that leadership without ethics lead to national ruin, right? Talk about the global isolation and national embarrassment. This is a national embarrassment, and it got everyone trying to talk about all this backlash that are coming towards Mr. Donald Trump. Under Trump's leadership, you know very well that America is becoming increasingly isolated on the global stage. No one wants to join, no one wants to associate with America because its behavior. Now, its decisions, including the latest war with Iran, make allies nervous and enemies emboldened. White Americans who travel, who do business globally or pay attention to international opinions are now feeling the embarrassment and the consequences of being led by someone seen as erratic and dangerous. It's no longer America first. It's America alone. Finally, I would like to say that some white Americans are waking up to the deeper truth. I agree with that. Trump is not a savior, but a symptom of a decaying system. We've said this. A lot of professors have said this. Richard DeWolf, people, different professors that have been hosting on this channel, have always tried to talk about this. His action towards Iran are not isolated. They are part of a broader imperial decline as the US empire flails. Leaders like Trump resort to violence and scapegoating. Also, the regret is real because people are now understanding they empowered someone who is escalating the collapse of everything they thought he would save. I'm your host and presenter Eugene Duke Stories. If you're watching us for the first time, kindly consider subscribing to the channel. I'm hoping that you're doing great. Until then, I'm going to be seeing you in my next video. Peace, love, and harmony. Salute.